Welcome to another VeVe Digital Collectibles Breakdown video. I'm Corey with VeVe, and today we're getting to do something totally new for the channel, and that is interview the artist about their art. VeVe artist royalty Frank Kozik was awesome enough to take some time to chat with me about his upcoming drop, Labbiter.
Hey, VeVe fam. I'm Frank Kozik, and I've been doing artwork and design for about 43 years now. I first started back around 1979, 1980 in the punk rock scene here in America, doing like collage street flyers. During the late 80s and into the 90s, I developed into doing large format silkscreen posters. Got a fairly large profile in the grunge and independent music scene. In the late 90s, I was in Japan doing an art exhibition and some commercial work, and I came across the first designer toy I ever saw, which was a bounty hunter kid hunter figure, a very famous early figure done in 1998, led to me meeting Hikaru, the founder of Bounty Hunter, and my first vinyl toy, which was the original Smorkin Labbit. I fell in love with the genre of designer toys and decided to devote my career, so I left the music business after 20 successful years and became a full-time toy designer and launched my first brands with Metacom in Japan and then Kid Robot in the US in the early 2000s.
Can you give us a little insight into how your artwork went from 2D to 3D with designer toys and vinyl? Was that a hard transition for you? What was the process?
My approach from 2D to 3D has always been the same. As a kid, I built model kits and made scratch building. I did a lot of scratch building of models, so I always loved working in 3D, just I didn't have any kind of access to it in the real world. That being said, my approach to my 2D art and my scratch building is, at heart, I'm a collage artist. So I had very little trouble transitioning from 2D to 3D because a lot of the principles are the same. I know my way around a three-dimensional object and things like how to make it stand up so it doesn't fall over and how to decorate the stuff. So there's a direct sort of continuity between silk screening a poster and doing a mask and tampo print on a 3D toy.
What's really unique about your artistic journey, Frank, is that you started in 2D, you've transitioned into 3D with designer toys and vinyl. Now you're standing on the precipice, along with all of us, of the VeVeVerse, yet another new, sort of uncharted territory for a creative like yourself. Where's your head at with that?
I mean, VeVe is the current stage of evolution for me as an artist. It's easy for me to change and catch the next wave of things that are interesting. So I've gone through all the transitions. I started analog, offset printing. I went into silk screening. I went into like three-dimensional manufacturing of sculptures in various materials. When computers came along, I totally got into the computer thing and transitioned from an analog style to a digital style. As marketplaces emerged with the internet, I went from collectors forums to Facebook to Instagram to Twitter. And now in the last 2 years, this whole world of online digital collecting has opened up, and I've jumped into that, right? I'm very excited about the possibilities of the online world because now entire sort of environments and worlds can be created, and then my objects can be in them, and you can play with them in ways you can't in the physical world.
I'm really excited to see what you managed to pull off artistically in the VeVeVerse in this new realm like you're talking about. Switching gears back to the art, specifically the drop that we have coming, Labbiter. It shares a namesake with Labbit. How is it different? How is it the same? How does this fit into your universe and the story that you're trying to tell?
So Labbits live in a parallel reality where everything is Labbit based. All life stems from Labbits. They have their own cultures, their own planets, but of course it's all a mirror of our life and like my interests, right? A Labbiter is different from a Labbit because a Labbiter is a large giant robot that's based on the Labbit's view of reality. And what this is all about is I have a deep love of 1960s and 1970s Japanese manga and live TV shows. So in the current release of the Labbiters, it's all my collage, a wink and a nod to the great characters and giant robots from Japan. These, in the Labbit world, these guys are like, 50 feet tall, and a little Labbit actually sits in the head and drives it around. So these are basically like Mechas.
And these specific Labbiters are dropping. These are the XK-5s. Why that name? What is the deal with the namesake?
There were 4 previous iterations of the Labbiter Mecha, and they've all become obsolete. XK-5 is currently the new model. So XK-5 is just, it's current model status.
Do all the XK-5s that are releasing in this series exist as physicals? I know myself and a lot of collectors on VeVe, we like to match our digital collectibles with physicals, whether that be a toy or that be a comic. What kind of hunt are people in for if they try to find these as physicals?
These are physical toys that were made, I think, in runs of like 500 for each colorway. I think we did a total of 8 colorways, one of which was a China exclusive, so good luck getting that one. If you fall in love with your VeVe edition, you can hunt down one of the original colorways that exists out in the world. And who knows, maybe someday I will produce these again in a different size and format.
Looks like we're all going to have to break out the search hounds if we want to get our hands on any of those physicals. I'm sure David probably has a few of those hidden away in a warehouse somewhere. We won't talk about that too much. Let's switch gears and go over the drop details. And uniquely, instead of me, the talking head Corey, telling you about the artistic vision behind these, I've got Frank here, and he's going to give you that insight. The Labbiter XK-5 series is releasing on Sunday, February 26th at 8 a.m. Pacific time. This series of 4 collectibles will be released in blind box format with a price of 25 gems. For those of you new to the platform, blind box means that upon purchase, you'll be randomly assigned one of these rarities. First, we have the original Labbiter coming in as a common and minting 1,111 editions. Frank, can you give us the behind the scenes breakdown of this one?
The original Labbiter, which was basically the first wave of the XK-5 series, was this one. In the 1970s, I was a huge fan of the original Ultraman, and if you're a nerd, you recognize the Ultraman colors. So this Labbiter's paint job is a tribute to Ultraman. It's an all-purpose model. Its driver is an all-purpose driver. It's kind of like standard grade, okay? So this is like a base level Labbiter for, say, a beginning pilot.
Next, we have Lazinger. It's classified as an uncommon, and it is minting 999 editions. How does Lazinger fit into your universe, and why these colors, Frank?
The Lazinger model, the colors are based on Mazinger, okay? Classic giant robot from the 70s. What differentiates Lazinger is extra power packs are installed so that the laser beam that ejects from the Cyclops slit in the front is extra powerful. So the pilot for the Lazinger version is usually used at night. Each Labbiter model has one special feature so that, like, combined, they can handle all foes.
Cayman is minting 888 editions and is the series rare. I'm loving this green color scheme.
So this is based on an awesome live action motorcycle involved, a Japanese show called Kamen Rider. He sports the Cayman colors. You know, to me, a Cayman is a beast that lives in water, okay, even though Kamen Rider didn't. So basically, the Cayman edition is used for amphibious assault or underwater battle. The pilot of the Cayman is adept in like both land, air, and sea.
Last, we have the Wasp, and is coming in as an ultra rare. It's minting 777 editions. This is just a really slick looking black and yellow color scheme. Are those Stinger missiles on this one, Frank?
They certainly are. So the Wasp character is somewhat based on a very famous Transformer, which you all know was Bumblebee. But, you know, a wasp is more deadly than a bumblebee because a wasp can sting you over and over again without losing its stinger or killing itself. It is a very adept at acrobatic aerial maneuvers, right? The wasp tends to fly above the others and offer air support against flying kaiju.
The final piece of the Series 1 Labbiter collection is the VeVe Secret Rare. Not included in the blind box drop, this one is reserved for you true collectors and super fans of Frank's work. On Thursday, February 23rd, a snapshot was taken. Those who held the entire Labbit Series 1 and 2 collections on the date of that snapshot will soon see this secret rare VeVe-themed Labbiter rocking into their showrooms as an airdrop reward. This one is scheduled to be delivered on Friday, March 3rd. Frank, I know this is a VeVe exclusive, but does it have a little bit of a backstory?
It's the planning one. It's the one that stays back and does all the computer stuff and all the intricate planning and the organizer of the bunch. So it's kind of like the leader of the pack.
And that's a wrap for this breakdown video. A massive thank you to Frank for coming and giving us some insight into his art. Is there anything you'd like to add? Any final thoughts, Frank?
So one thing I want you guys to know is that the Labbiters have pilots, right? They have very stylish outfits, and they have enemies. The enemies are monsters from space, also known as kaiju to us nerds. In the future, be aware, there's kaiju out there And Sunday, we may introduce you to the drive teams.
And with those final words, that is a final wrap for this breakdown video. If you enjoy this kind of content and us getting to talk to artists like Frank, please let us know down in the comments so we can continue trying to make this sort of content possible. Until the next breakdown video, keep learning, sharing, and collecting what you love. This is Corey with VeVe, signing off.